Hi everyone, welcome to week 2 of English 102. I hope week 1 wasn't too stressful for you. I was really excited to see all of you guys chatting on Microsoft Teams. I promise that our conversations won't be that involved moving forward, but I'm glad that you all got that together. Give me just a little bit, a few days to go through your library and resource scavenger hunts. I'll get those back to you. And I will get your groups up as soon as possible once I've looked through everyone's stuff. So right now, I want you to focus on doing the readings for week 2 and your discussion board, and then we'll get to the groups in a little bit. What I want you to focus on this week is really getting comfortable and digging into APA format. So that's what this video is going to focus on. So just bear with me, and I will also post some resources for you guys. So the assignments you have for this week: readings, discussion board number 2. We're going to talk about APA format and writing research questions. And then your group blog, the first one, will be due at the end of the week. So I don't want you to worry about the group blog until you've gotten your group together and been able to meet for the first time via Teams. So we will get to that in a day, I think. So the first thing I want to kind of chat with you guys about is writing research questions. So when you've decided on the social issue that you're going to focus on for this first project, what you want to do when you meet with your group is decide on an issue together, but then each of you are going to propose your own research question about that topic. So just because your group has chosen a sort of broad topic, like maybe education as a social issue, what you're going to do is personally decide on an individual research question that's going to guide your research. This is really what gives your research purpose. It helps to kind of narrow your focus. You're not looking at everything in education, but you're looking at what specific sources will help answer your question. And then this is what we're going to use to eventually develop the thesis that you argue in your essay. So some tips on the side here for what you want your research question to be: needs to be focused, needs to actually be researchable, answerable, specific, complex. We're going to look at an example, and then your reading is also going to look at examples as well. But just keep in mind that you want your question to be something that isn't easily answerable with just basic ideas, but it needs research. So let's look at an example real quick. So types of research questions can be descriptive, like what are the characteristics of the education system in Illinois? What are the differences and similarities between the education system in Illinois and in Missouri? What's the relationship between education and COVID-19? What are the main factors in maybe, let's see, what are the main factors in student dropout rates? What is the role of homelessness in dropout rates? What is the cause of, maybe, let's see, what's the cause of students failing English classes? Let's talk about that. So you can kind of use different language to sort of guide where your research is going to go. Do you want to talk about cause and effect? Do you want to evaluate the effectiveness of something? Do you want to just describe what what this issue is? So last semester, I had a few groups choose to research COVID-19, which I think is a good topic because it's so relevant to us, but it's also kind of difficult because it's so new. We don't really have as much research about it as you might hope for. So one of the example research questions I got from students the last time I did this was, what are some facts about COVID-19? Now, although this is not a terrible place to start, it definitely has a social issue, COVID-19, and it's asking a question about it. The problem with this is that it's not researchable, because research involves really digging into a lot of different perspectives. Looking just for, facts, that's listing, that's repeating, that's reporting what someone else has said. It's not very specific, and it's also not complex. So some of the groups actually ended up with some really more interesting and more complex, more specific questions like, how has COVID-19 affected college students' mental health? Why is there misinformation about COVID-19? And in what ways has COVID-19 changed our education system in the U.S.? So I hope you guys can see that these are definitely more the goal, these examples here. Instead of starting with a basic question, I want you to sort of, challenge yourselves to really dig deep into these social issues. So your reading this week, one of them will talk about how to do this, but I want you to be thinking about what issue you'd like to do with your group, discuss that, and then within your group, what specific research question, what part of your issue are you going to focus on? All right, so the other thing we're going to talk about is something that I know is very challenging, but hopefully you'll get lots of practice and be an expert by the end of the semester, is APA format. So I get a lot of questions about what APA format is, how to do it. So really, APA format is the look of your essays, of your writing, and the way in which you refer to sources in your writing. The reason we have these formatting conventions is because so much research is compiled together, and we want to have a way to standardize it. I want to know that when I look at your research and I want to find the sources that you used, I can do so quickly and effectively. And it's also just giving credit to those sources for the role they play in your research. So a couple, words and phrases that you probably have heard, but maybe not. I'm going to use these throughout both this video and also throughout our course, so I want you to be familiar with them. An in-text citation is that in parentheses after a quote or paraphrase when you give the author's last name and the year. This is different from MLA because you're not using a page number, okay? The reference page is works cited. So if you've heard works cited for MLA, the reference page is the same thing. We just call it a reference page in APA. A running header is unique to APA. It's at the top of your essay. I'll show you guys an example. Cover page, that's the first page that comes in your essay, also different from MLA. APA has you give this full cover page first. Abstract, this is a brief summary of your essay, and it comes after your cover page but before your essay is started. This will be required for your final research essay in your group, but don't worry too much about it now. Then a DOI is a permanent link to an online article. Okay, so when I use these words, this is what they mean. So let's talk about just the two sort of basics of MLA. APA. In-text citations are when you're using a quote or a paraphrase, when you're actually referring to a source in your writing and you need to give credit to that source. Your in-text citation is very important. It's important that you do it correctly, because if you don't, then we're missing that standardization that APA provides. So your in-text citation depends on your author, okay? You need the author's last name and the year it was published, all right? If you have more than one author, the way that you use an in-text citation changes, okay? One author, pretty easy. You can see here, 2 authors, you need to put an and between the 2 authors' last names. 3 authors, we use something called et al. It's kind of like etc., but it's for multiple people. If you don't know the author, you can use the title of the work, or if the author is an organization, you can use the organization's name. You'll see here there are a couple different ways you can use an in-text citation. You can either have something like research by these 2 authors and then the year, or at the end of a quote, you can have the author's names and year in parentheses afterwards. As long as somewhere you've mentioned the author's names and the year they were published. So you don't need to necessarily memorize these examples, but you do need to understand that the number of authors changes how you do in-text citations. The second main part of APA formatting that I think a lot of students struggle with is that reference page. So like I said, if you remember in MLA formatting, your works cited, a reference page is the works cited for APA. If you remember, in other courses or in MLA, the reference page depends on the source type, right? I've pulled out 4 different types that you guys will mainly use: books, journal articles, websites, and online journal articles. You'll notice that they start with the author's last name. They've got the year, the title of the work, and then it depends on if you have a journal article, you need like the volume and the edition. No one, in all honesty, memorizes how to do these. I have before, but now we have the internet. So I'm going to show you guys a quick and easy way to do this without needing to memorize, like, oh, okay, an online journal article, I need like the author's first, and then the year, and the title, and the edition. So there's no need to memorize this, but you do need to recognize that your reference page entries will differ by source type. Okay? So authors are important and source types important. Before we look at an example, I want to mention a couple tools that you guys have available to you. There's a APA template in Microsoft Word. Use the template. It will help you. It's there for you. It's meant to assist. Use the template. There's also a sample APA paper on the Purdue OWL website. You can just Google Purdue OWL APA. Use the sample paper to also help you to understand these different pieces, okay? You guys are just as responsible for understanding this format style as I am for teaching it. So I want you to also take some responsibility for knowing how to do this. The last thing we're going to do is look at a Microsoft Word document. So what I did to get to this point, if I'm using Microsoft Word, which is slow. Okay, so if I'm using Microsoft Word, I can go to File and open a new document. So if I want to click New, I can search for APA template here, or usually mine comes up with it already. So once you open the template, everything is already typed in here for you. All you need to do is add in your information. So here is where I type my title. I'm just going to click here and say my title is writing in APA format. I'm going to put my name here. And my affiliation is the college. All right, and then up here, my running head is a shortened version of my title. So I can just put maybe APA format. What's great about this is the header's already there, the numbers are already there, the page numbers, all of it is already formatted correctly. So when you're wanting to work with your references, say you found a source, now you want to use it in your paper, what I recommend is keep a list of your sources, okay? Don't just keep tabs up on your computer and expect to find them there again. What you want to do, and what I would get in the habit of doing, is put those references in your template as you go along. Now to do this, what you want to do is go up here and click to References, and then Manage Sources. So what I can do is, say I found a book that I really want to use for my research. I'm going to click New, and then select my type of source. We'll say it's a book. I'm just going to put to New York. I'm making up this information, but you would find this information on your sources. I'm going to click OK. Now, this is added to my paper, and it's given me the in-text citation here. So when I want to add this to my references, I can go here, click Update Citations. Oh, hopefully it goes. Okay, well, I think because of the video, mine's going pretty slow. But you should be able to update it here.